Hello and welcome. Let's talk about Judgment Day. Chances are you have a pretty clear picture in your head of what that means. But what if that picture is, well, wrong? Today we are going to deconstruct this incredibly powerful concept, and I think you're going to be surprised by what we uncover when we dig into the source material.
So just for a second, when I say Judgment Day, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it a giant throne in the clouds? Maybe fire, earthquakes, a huge cosmic courtroom scene? For most people, the imagery is super dramatic and, let's be honest, pretty terrifying.
And this is that popular picture, right? This epic, 24-hour spectacle. You've got the Great White Throne, the earth is literally shaking, everyone who has ever lived is summoned, and bam, final verdicts are handed down. The whole thing over and done in one single, literal day. It's a view that often comes from reading certain parables as straightforward literal accounts.
But here's the big question. What if that entire terrifying image is based on a fundamental misunderstanding? The source material for this explainer argues that this popular view is, and I quote, entirely out of harmony with the inspired word. Whoa, that suggests a completely different way of looking at this, and it all starts by going back to the words themselves.
So to really unlock this other perspective, we have to do a little bit of groundwork. We need to redefine two fundamental words that we think we know, judgment and day. Because it turns out their original meaning in the scriptures is way, way broader than how we use them today.
Okay, first up, judgment. We hear that word and we immediately think of the end of the process, right? The final verdict, the sentence being passed down. But the source points out that the original Greek word for judgment covers the entire process. It's the trial, the examination of evidence, the cross-examination, the whole shebang. It's much more like an entire court case than just a single moment of sentence.
And then we have the word day. Now in the Bible, this word almost never means just 24 hours. You know how we talk about Noah's Day or the day of creation? We're not talking about a Tuesday. We're talking about an entire era, a long, distinct period of time. So, what if the Day of Judgment isn't a single literal day, but a whole age of judgment?
Okay, so with these new definitions in our back pocket, judgment as a trial process and day as an age, we can start to piece together a whole new timeline. And believe it or not, it starts with a trial that has already happened.
So according to our source, the world's first judgment day actually took place way back in the Garden of Eden. On trial was Adam, but he wasn't just there for himself. He was acting as the representative for all of humanity. The verdict? Guilty of disobedience. And the penalty? Death. This is where that famous phrase, "in Adam all die," comes from.
And that ancient sentence from that very first trial, it's still in effect. According to this view, all the pain, the suffering, the fact that we all get old and die, it's all a direct consequence of that original judgment.
But, and this is a huge but, the story doesn't end there. Not even close. Something absolutely pivotal happened that made a second trial, a second chance for the entire world possible.
This right here is the game changer. Christ's death is presented as a ransom, essentially a payment that completely covered the death penalty handed down to Adam. By satisfying the legal demands of that first sentence, he bought the right to grant every single person another individual trial, and this time under much, much more favorable conditions.
So here's the big picture timeline. In the past, we had the first judgment, Adam's trial that set the penalty for everyone. In the present, there's a specific trial for certain select groups. But the future? That's the main event. A 1,000-year-long age of trial and judgment for all of humankind.
Let's put these two big judgments side by side, because the differences are huge. The first one was representative. One man, Adam, stood for all of us. The second one, it's completely individual. Every person stands for themselves. The first was a trial of inexperience and innocence, but the second one comes after humanity has experienced sin and all its consequences. And the judge even changes, from Jehovah in the first trial to Christ, the Redeemer, in the second.
So, what does this future trial actually look like? Well, it's a step-by-step process. First, mankind is restored from death. Then comes a long period of education and training, a gradual process of discipline. After that, each person is tested individually based on their own obedience. The reward for passing that test is everlasting life, and the penalty for willful disobedience is a final second death, one from which there's no coming back.
And get this, we're not talking about a quick test. Citing the prophet Isaiah, the source suggests a trial period of at least 100 years for every single person. That really emphasizes just how fair and thorough this opportunity is meant to be. So, when you put all these pieces together,
The whole emotional feeling around Judgment Day just completely flips. That popular view we started with inspires fear and dread, but this other perspective, it offers something entirely different.
Yeah, look at this. The common view brings fear, absolutely. But this new understanding of a long, restorative, educational trial, it actually inspires hope and rejoicing. It transforms Judgment Day from something to be dreaded into something the prophets and apostles apparently looked forward to with joy. And you can hear it in the text itself. Listen to this. Let the heavens be glad and let the earth rejoice, because he cometh to judge the earth. Did you catch that? They're celebrating because the judge is coming. His arrival isn't a cause for terror, it's a cause for a massive, worldwide celebration. It's seen as a time of deliverance and righteous rule. It's a message of hope.
So we're left with this really powerful reframing. Judgment Day isn't a final verdict, but a final opportunity. It's not the end of the story, but a new beginning. A chance for restoration, for education, and for every single person to finally choose their own destiny. So the real question for us is, how does that shift from a final sentence to a final opportunity change everything?